Good morning. My name is Thomas Reutman. I'm a hearing officer for San Francisco Public Works. Cerise Waiters is the clerk of this hearing. This hearing is being recorded via Zoom and will be available afterwards through a link on the San Francisco Public Works website, sfpublicworks.org. As this is a virtual hearing, there is no sign-in sheet. So if you'd like to receive information about the results of this hearing, please send an email to the email address listed on the hearing notice. If you do not have that with you, please contact the Bureau of Urban Forestry at urbanforestry@sfdpw.org. This public hearing is being held to consider two items. First is public comment, where members of the public may address the hearing officer on matters that are within the department's jurisdiction but not on today's agenda. And then we'll hear hearing order number 211985 to consider an appeal for a fine issued for failure to obtain a permit for tree pruning for a general advertising sign and the illegal pruning of one street tree adjacent to 2130 Harrison Street. My job as the hearing officer is to gather the facts for the hearing item, listen to your testimonies, and help our Director of Public Works make determinations. I will not be making any decisions today. Instead, I will forward the findings from this hearing and make my recommendations to the Director. The Director will make the final determinations. When the Director's determinations are made, the department will notify you of them if you've provided contact information. The hearing will proceed as follows for the one case. I'll ask Public Works staff to speak first and present the case. Then I'll allow the appellant to speak. Then any member of the public or witness who wants to speak. Then the department, if the department would like to address any comments. And then if I feel it's warranted, I'll allow an opportunity for further clarification by the appellant. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers and will indicate when the speaker has 30 seconds left. If you are a party to this proceeding, I will call on you to speak. If you'd like to use visual materials in your presentation, please let me know before you speak. You'll then have the standard 3 minutes to provide your comments. If you are a member of the public or witness who wants to speak, wait for me to call for public comments. Then use Zoom's raise your hand feature to put yourself in the queue to speak. If you've dialed in by phone, raise your hand by pressing *9, and when told you are being unmuted, press *6 to unmute yourself before speaking. When it is your turn to speak, I will recognize you. Again, if you would like to use visual materials in your presentation, please let me know before you speak. You will then have the standard 3 minutes to provide your comments. Comments and questions should be addressed to me and not to the department or the applicant. If you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you may submit written testimony to me by the end of this hearing. And if I feel that a question is warranted, I'll ask the question. After the comments are completed, I will close the item. We'll now begin the hearing. Are there any matters in Public Works jurisdiction but that are not on the August 20th agenda?
No hands, Mr. Reutman.
Thank you. So we'll move to hearing order number 211985 for the property at 2130 Harrison Street. I'll let the department make its presentation now.
Hi, my name is Federico Sanchez. I'm with San Francisco Department of Public Works, Bureau of Urban Forestry. I'm gonna share my screen. Let me know if you guys could see it.
Yes, we
You
can
see
see
that?
it. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna start with our code. A tree ordinance establishes authorization and standards for addressing a wide range of issues regarding trees. San Francisco's Urban Forestry Ordinance is codified under Article 16 of the Public Works Code. Public Works Code, Article 16. The Section 808 is to protect, or is the protection of trees and landscape material. And by definition, that's injury to or destruction of trees being prohibited. It should be unlawful for any person to intentionally, maliciously, or through gross negligence injure or destroy a street tree, any tree on San Francisco property or significant tree or landmark tree. In addition to the penalties set forth in the subsections A and B above, the director may require any person who removes or destroys a tree in violation of the provisions of this Article 16 to pay for each tree removed or destroyed a sum of 10,000 or more. The trees or the tree's replacement value, whichever is greater. The director may require any person who injures a tree in violation of the provisions of this Article 16 to pay the sum of money equal to the diminishment of the tree's value as set forth in the current edition of the Guide of Tree Appraisal. When property owners remove a street tree or trees without obtaining a permit, the department shall require the property owner to plant a replacement street tree or trees with a total of 6 inches above ground in diameter, or that is equal to or greater in total diameter of the street tree or trees that were removed without a permit. For permitted planting and removal of street trees, a property owner who desires a permit to remove a street tree shall apply for the department on the designated form. The department may grant or deny the permit in accordance with the following procedures and requirements. If the department's grants a tree removal, it shall require the street tree or trees of equivalent replacement value to the one removed be planted in the place of the removed tree or impose an in lieu fee, unless it makes written findings detailed the basis for waiving and modifying this requirement. So for the protection of tree and construction work, tree protection is required. This signifies that if excavation, construction, or a street tree is planned within one of the trip line of a significant tree, a landmark tree, or a tree on any street or other publicly owned property, said trees shall be adequately protected. If such construction work results in the injury of street or damage of such trees, the responsible parties may be subject to the penalties set forth by Section 811 of this article. Major maintenance of street trees adjacent to general advertising signs. If a street tree is within 150 feet of any portion of a general advertising sign, as defined per planning code section, the department shall require a permit for the property owner to perform major maintenance on such street tree. Any permit for major maintenance of street trees specified in the subsection shall include the condition that the maintenance work be conducted under the direct supervision of a certified arborist in accordance with Article 16 and other standards that the department adopts. A fee for the permit for a major maintenance of street trees shall be $300. This fee is subject to fee adjustments and any other additional fees and the provision sections 213. The definition of injure or injury shall mean any act which harms or damages a tree, including but not limited to the impact of cutting, carving, painting, transplanting, or knocking over, and includes but is not limited to the following: injurious attachment of any rope, wire, nails, advertisement poster, or any other contrivance of any tree subject to the provision of this article. Intentionally or negligently allowing any gaseous, liquid, or solid substance that is harmful to a tree to come into contact with the tree, setting fire, or intentionally or negligently permitting any fire to burn when such fire or heat therefrom will injure any part of the tree. Burning which in itself will kill the tree or cause the tree to decline or severing of or part of the tree. So the penalties for these violations for any tree that's destroyed in this section is to the sum of $10,000 for the tree's replacement value, whichever is greater. The director may require any person who injures a tree in violation to pay the sum of the equal money to the diminishment of the tree's value as set forth in the current edition of the guide for plant appraisal. Notwithstanding monetary limitations specified above the subsection, if the responsible party performs major maintenance on the injuries, destroys, or removes such a tree, the department may assess a penalty of up to $10,000 per violation in addition to any other remedies specified above. So trees are more than just beautiful additions to our urban life. They are essential components to our city's ecosystem and provide an enormous environmental and social benefits. A permit is required to remove any tree, significant tree, or a land tree. A permit is required to prune any tree which is within 150 feet of general advertising signs, and it is illegal to injure a tree. Injuries can include excessive pruning and malicious acts like nailing objects to the trees and negligent acts like vehicle accidents. It is the property owner's responsibility to know the law. Ignorance is not an excuse. For best management practices, we do not remove 25% of the canopy in 1 year. This can lead to the death of the tree or decline. We also don't cut back to a branch that's less than 1/3 or 1/2 the size of the main branch. It's important to selectively remove branches throughout the tree, not just the lowest branches you can reach. Removing the lowest branches when it is unnecessary is sometimes called limbing up. This can cause a tall, spindly tree to form, and it can also reduce trunk flare and girth of the tree. Lower branches can keep the vigor and the lower portion of the tree, and this is especially important for conifers. Illegal practices. Do not top trees. Topping is the practice of cutting a terminal branch to a stump or a lateral branch that is not large enough to assume the terminal role. In general, topping is not acceptable. It's not an acceptable way to reduce a tree's canopy. In certain situations, a professional arborist may use topping to remove hazardous branches and prolong the life of mature trees. The topping of trees is illegal, and anyone who indiscriminately tops a city tree is liable and will be fined. Weakly attached and rapid growth as the tree tries to recover energy producing leaves as quickly as possible. You can see this tree was topped and it has epicoric sprouting. That's a stress response from the tree trying to get the leaves back out for photosynthesis. Topping, weakly attached and rapid growth. All the trees resources were used up trying to recover the leaves canopy, and this tree died. Even when trees don't die and they're topped, sometimes they could allow them to grow with new growth that's prone to limb failure. Improper pruning can also cause injury and cavities, which can have openings for pathogens and cause future branch failures or trunk failures. Topping is not the same as pollarding. Pollarding must be started when the trees are young and can only be performed on certain species. High voltage power lines conflicts are the responsibility of PG&E's line clearance and certified arborists. CPUC General Order 95, Rule 38 requires utilities to maintain a minimum of 18 inches clearance between vegetation and high voltage conductors at all times. That's the highest line on the pole, the one that says high voltage. The bottom ones are usually communication lines, and they're made to have tree canopy go through. And PG&E usually takes care of that on a yearly basis. Mm. So this is our program, Street Tree SF. In 2016, a ballot measure passed to transfer the responsibility for maintaining street trees and repairing tree-related sidewalk damage from property owners in the city to the city. The passing of this measure created Street Tree SF, which is a city-wide maintenance program managed by San Francisco Public Works. We have a budget of $19 million set aside for in the city's general funds for Street Tree SF. In preparation for Street Tree SF, a tree census was completed that inventoried and assessed the condition of approximately 125,000 trees. This map shows the canopy areas of density. So we use this grid to assign work. And this is just some more information of our first cycle that was completed, what we will do in 2025, and what's coming up in 2026. Um, this the census data is being used to populate a routine and productive tree pruning schedule for the city's nearly 125,000 trees. And the data allows us to prioritize areas in the city where tree maintenance is the highest, allowing us to allocate resources to areas that need it the most. It's still a work in progress, and we're 81% of the way there. But we've been working with our arborists and contractors to get this done. So far, we have 105,000 trees that have been pruned as of August 2025. In preparation to do this work, um, we set up signs. The residents receive door hangers informing them about the work and the time frame when it will happen. There's usually signage and logos that are displayed. Okay. And now we're here to order number 211985, 2130 Harrison Street. This is to consider an appeal for a fine that was issued for failure to obtain a permit for tree pruning for general advertising sign and the illegal pruning of one street tree adjacent to 2130 Harrison Street. The fines total is $12,520. That's $10,000 for the failure to obtain a permit and $2,520 for illegal pruning of one street tree. This is the street tree in question. It's a Brisbane box, diameter of 10 inches. And you can see the billboard in the back. This is after. This is what the inspector saw in March 2024. So over 60% of the crown was removed. We're not supposed to remove 25% in 1 year, and at least 75% of the living foliage was removed. You can see the height of the cuts, and this is an underestimated inner crown due to the Google Street View distortion. All the reduction cuts were made to inadequate lateral limbs and were also topped. So all the branchlets were no longer than 1/5 or 20% of the diameter of the original leader. And most new leaders appear to be closer to 1/10 of the previous leader diameter. ANSI standards dictate that a reduction is no less than 1/3 or 33% of the original branch. So you can see the leaders over here pointed out in blue. And after the fine was submitted, we got the contractor followed up with their detailed description of the proposed pruning. It says the prune the street tree to enhance the view of a billboard on the side of the building. We will lower the top as much as we can without getting into trouble. We will push the street side back towards the curb. It looks like this was the objective. Um, to be consistent with similar cases. So the subjective for the printing was visual clearance for general advertising signs. The contractor and the appealing were knowledgeable of Bureau of Urban Forestry jurisdiction over the street tree maintenance and possible infractions. The contractor had recently been involved in a case with for a fine for an illegal removal in 2023, where both parties claimed they expected the other party to secure the necessary permits. We have fined $12,520 for the illegal pruning to be consistent with similar cases. And yeah, that's all we have for this.
Before we hear from the appellant, Federico, I just wondered on that last slide you showed that, did you say the contractor submitted a permit application after they were fined?
Yeah,
Okay, so they retroactively requested the pruning that they had done, or they were trying to correct whatever mistake was made by doing additional pruning.
yeah, they received, yeah, they did it after, yeah,
Okay,
correct.
all right. Is the appellant present for this item?
Yes, hi.
Can you state your full name before you start your testimony, please?
Yeah, Christopher Altman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Federico, for doing that.
Okay, Mr. Altman, you said that you have something you want to share. You want me to promote you to panelists, is that correct?
Yeah,
Or
I
no?
have a picture of the tree today, and I just wanted to say some things about the mistake that we made.
Okay, just a moment. I'm gonna pull you over as a panelist. You should see a prompt and respond to that.
Okay.
Okay, now that you've come over, you'll need to unmute yourself once again, and then you can do share screen.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, so there, can you see my screen?
We can see you, but I don't see your screen or any item that you're sharing
Can I
yet.
put it like, I don't know how to, sorry.
Is it something that you had saved into your computer already or
Yeah,
no?
I sent it to the Urban Forestry SFTP.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, it's just a
Then,
picture of the tree today.
okay.
It to sort of go along with what I was going to say. Shall I read what I was going to say?
Sure, go ahead, and you'll have 3 minutes for your testimony.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Christopher Altman. I'm the owner of Trees Company. The inspector's assessment about the tree that we pruned is correct. It was excessively pruned. I am happy that Buff is doing a good job looking out for our trees. We did go further than we should have, but we did so in a way that thoughtfully considers the species, a Brisbane box, and how it reacts to pruning, as well as considering the long-term health of the tree. We pruned the tree in February when the tree was dormant. The intention was to have it wake up in the spring, send up new shoots, and be a smaller version of itself, a crown reduction. It is now healthy and full, the same size as the surrounding trees. The inspector found the tree just a couple of weeks after the pruning, and it looked excessively pruned. I totally respect the laws regarding San Francisco trees, that are taken from standards set by the ISA. These standards are not strict because all trees are different depending on their species, their exposure, their soil, etc. Um, what Federico, what you had shown us, the diagram of how trees should be pruned is absolutely correct. But and we didn't follow that. Um, I I'm a certified arborist, and we draw from our education and experience as well as ISA standards to make choices regarding tree care. Um, I began my arborist career in San Francisco. I studied horticulture at CCSF. I interned at FUF. I was ISA certified in 2006. I started Trees Company in 2008. I got into this business because I love trees. I love how the actions we take now with trees will affect future generations. I'm very experienced with the Brisbane box and know how they react to pruning. My job as an arborist is to do no harm and to use my knowledge to make trees healthy and safe. I'm very candid with my clients about their trees, especially significant trees, rules, and permits. I also let Buff know when I see a tree that has been butchered. I am on your side. I made it my life's work to improve the San Francisco urban forest. That may be corny, but it's true.
30 seconds.
I hope that you will turn this fine into a well-received warning, and I promise to communicate more with Buff when it comes to pruning street trees. Thank you for listening, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Just looking at this picture you sent, I don't know if Buff has re-inspected or taken a look at this picture and have any thoughts on the health or condition of the tree in its current state.
We haven't, well, I don't know if they've re-inspected. I could follow up.
Yeah, I think I mean I hear both sides of the what Federico showed and the condition. It looked butchered to me, and then what you're showing, Christopher, looks like it's growing back healthy. So I think this might warrant another look by Buff to re-examine whether it's permanently harmed or temporarily harmed and it's regrowing healthily and vigorously. So if that's something that Buff can re-examine, then we can reassess the penalty based on what that finding is. I think what we have to understand, Mr. Altman, is that, I mean, you're an arborist and you've worked in the city, so you're a sophisticated consumer on this and you know the rules. And I think it's important that you understand the need to communicate with Buff before taking action and follow the appropriate application procedures. And Buff is always open to a conversation before you do any sort of pruning.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the culture has changed somewhat. I think that Buff has gotten bigger since when I started, and I think that there's a lot more talking. Like people have been coming, other arborists have been coming to me, and they've said, I need to write a proposal to Buff to prune a street tree, and that was like, huh, that's new. And I think that it's a cultural. I have to take more action and be more transparent with what we're doing. And in terms of like the permit for this, like I had said, Chris Buck a long time ago with the same company had said to us, you need a permit to work underneath a billboard. And I told this company that that was the fact. I honestly never said that I was going to get this permit, and I have never done that before. I wrote that I was going to get a temporary occupancy permit, but I don't know what would happen. They knew they were supposed to do it. I think they just didn't think about it. So they're doing the best they can to go back and get an actual permit. I think if there had been a permit, then that would have opened up a dialogue saying, here we have a tree. We only want you to take it down to this level. But I also agree, like we messed up. Like it was pruned too much. Like it shouldn't have been pruned that much. And that was definitely a mistake. It was not my intention. And I'm embarrassed that it looked that bad. But we did prune it in a way that it would come back, and it has. And I'm happy to also, Federico, come back and visit this tree and make sure that it has good structure so I can, help it move forward in the future.
Yeah, I wanna get a read or a reread on the condition of the tree, whether it's gonna die or if it's gonna live and, into an extended period of time so that we can, um, differentiate it from one that's basically been hacked to a point where it's not gonna come back to full vigor.
So, the main concern here is the structure of the tree. From the first part of the slides, once you trim a tree that low or that bad, uh, the growth in the future kind of compromises the rest of the growth for this tree. It becomes a hazard later on in the future. That's what we're like looking at. Um, Also, it's um, it's a policy like law to get permits to do this type of work in San Francisco and almost all cities, I think.
Yeah, you mentioned something that I didn't quite follow about I understand the requirement to get a permit, but this thing about the sign, when there's an advertisement, there was some extra thing attached to that about getting the responsibility for getting the permit. Can you clarify that for a minute?
Yeah, for any advertisement signs, you need a permit to trim a tree. That's within 150 feet. It's not just billboard signs, it's any sign in the city. Whether um they need to require a pruning permit to even start the work.
Is that different than any other tree that's not related to advertising?
No,
So the
well,
fact
yeah,
that there's advertising just means that there's some sort of understanding that a tree can be pruned if it gets too big and it's blocking the sign.
I'm sorry. I mean, we do not require a permit to prune trees in San Francisco unless it's just advertisements. Like for this we require a permit for.
Got it. Okay, so in this case, um, I think the appellant was saying that he assumed that the owner or the company that's the advertiser had obtained the permit, but I'm sure you're aware, Christopher, that you need to have the permit in hand if you're the one with the chainsaw, right?
Um, no, I tell them very clearly what I'm gonna do, and I say I will prune your tree and I will get the parking, but I said nothing about getting a permit to work in front of this ad. This was on them.
No, I'm
And I made
saying,
it very clear that I was not getting this permit. Like I don't do permits. It's I don't want to get involved in permits. It's too complicated. It's very easy for us to get a TOC because it's very easy in the system, but like I don't deal with permits.
well, I think when you need to have, if someone else is taking care of the permit, you need to have a copy of it in your hand before you start the work.
Yes, no, I agree. I agree. I agree, and I shouldn't have just assumed that they got, it was just a lot of assumptions. I assumed they got the permit. I assumed everything was up and up. I mean, that's their job is to, you know, do advertising in San Francisco. Like they should know about this kind of stuff. I'm sorry. But now that I know I will make sure that they have a permit.
Yeah, I mean, they're,
I mean, I
forgive me,
told them, 6 months ago, or it was a year, I forget how long ago it was, but I said, like, you need to get a permit the next time you prune in front of I said, you need to do it. I didn't say I was going to do it. Anyway, it's just like, it's stupid. I mean, it was just bad communication.
yeah, so in general, the advertising company contracted you to prune the tree, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and obviously we've said it now, but when we go for future contracts, make sure that you not only communicate to them that they need to get the permit, but that they need to share it with you before you start the work.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yeah.
I want to point out that this is the second time that this happens. This has happened. So
Is that okay with this same contractor?
yeah,
I'm not sure. I think you're talking about a removal of pine tree at the Zeitgeist. Is that correct?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we took that down actually in 2020, and it was on private property. And in the past, I had been told that the 10-foot mark is from the right of way from the trunk, not from the branches. And I misunderstood that. That changed somewhere along the line, because in the beginning that was how you measured the whether or not it was a significant tree. That the trunk was 10 feet from the public right of way. Well, in fact, this tree was, but the branches hung over. So
Okay, so that issue, what you're saying, Christopher, is not a repeat of the same violation. That was a different misunderstanding related to significant tree setback or jurisdiction above.
yeah, no, I really want to know. I want to do things on the up and up and on the right. I don't want to do things wrong. I thought I understood what was going on, but like apparently, did it change, Federico, the rules at some point?
No, as far as I'm aware, it's always been the same.
So it's not the trunk, it's how far the branches are from the public right of way.
Um, it is the trunk.
Oh, it is the trunk. So then that shouldn't have been a fine because the trunk was not 10 feet from the public right of way.
Well, I don't want to rehear that case, but I think what we've established is that there's some misunderstanding, so we don't want to get into the habit of coming back to this hearing in the future with more violations. So I think it's worth studying the code in detail and reaching out to Buff if there's anything in there that's confusing or needs more clarification. Try to do it before we're, reviewing an NOV or a fine.
Yeah.
I understand there's a lot of complications and there's a lot of unique one-off conditions that's why we have these hearings when this happens. But I appreciate your explanation and your willingness to acknowledge the mistakes, and I'll discuss it further with Buff and then make my recommendations.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And thanks, Federico.
Is there anyone else in the hearing here to give testimony on this item?
There are no hands, Mr. Reitman.
All right, well, that concludes this item, which concludes the hearing. So the hearing is now closed.
Thank you.